Every single time you take a bite of food, you're placing your trust in this massive, basically invisible system. It's a system designed to protect you, running behind the scenes in factories and kitchens all over the world. But what actually holds it all together? Well, it turns out, it all comes down to one incredibly powerful but deceptively simple rule. And this is it. This is the golden rule of food safety. In this world, if a check, a measurement, any action isn't recorded, it's like it never even happened. Now, this isn't about creating useless paperwork. This is the absolute bedrock of accountability and trust in the entire food industry. Okay, so that's the rule. But how does one sentence translate into a safe meal on your plate? What does it actually do? Well, let's dive in and see how this principle really works in the real world. Before we can really see this rule in action, we need to understand what makes for good documentation in the first place. It's not just about scribbling a few notes down. It's a whole system built on 4 solid pillars that make the information totally reliable and, most importantly, useful. First up, accuracy. The numbers, the notes, they have to reflect what's actually happening. No fudging the data. Second, clarity. Anyone, and I mean anyone, should be able to pick up that record and understand exactly what it means. Third is timeliness. You write it down right away, not hours later when your memory gets fuzzy. And finally, trackability. You have to be able to follow a product's entire journey, forwards and backwards through the system. And you have to understand, these pillars aren't just arbitrary rules someone made up. They create a system that guarantees accountability. They provide cold, hard evidence that safety controls are actually working. They make communication efficient. And all of this lets companies make smart, informed decisions, which is what allows all of us to trust the food we eat. All right, theory is one thing, but let's see how this whole system works when something actually goes wrong. We're going to follow the story of a single, simple mistake that gets caught in the act by this very system of documentation. Okay, so let's look at a classic real-world example. This is a simple temperature log for a fridge. At 8 a.m., everything looks great. 3 degrees Celsius, right in the safe zone. But then look at noon. Whoa, it spiked up to 7 degrees, which is way outside the acceptable limit. Because it was written down, the problem is no longer invisible. It exists, it's on paper, and now it demands a response. And that response kicks off with something called a non-conformance report, or an NCR. You can think of it as the system's first responder. Its job is to officially document that, hey, something went wrong, and, this is the crucial part, to outline the immediate steps needed to contain the problem right then and there. The number one priority here is damage control. Before we even figure out why the fridge is too warm, we have to make sure any food that was inside is isolated and doesn't move one step further down the line. The NCR basically stops the problem dead in its tracks. Okay, so we've contained the immediate issue. The fire is out, so to speak, but that is not enough. Now the system moves from just reacting to actively preventing. It's time to find the root cause of the problem and make sure this never, ever happens again. And this is where a second really critical document comes in. If the NCR is all about containing the problem now, the corrective action report, or CAR, is about preventing that problem forever. You can see they're 2 sides of the same coin. One is the immediate response, the other is the long-term solution. The CAR is where the real detective work happens. It goes so much deeper. It documents the entire investigation to find the root cause. Not just that the fridge was warm, but why it was warm. Was it a faulty seal? An electrical issue? Was the door left ajar? The CAR figures that out and then lays out a concrete plan to fix it for good. So let's just put it all together. Here's the complete chain of events. First, the high temperature gets logged. Second, the NCR is issued to contain the immediate problem. Third, the CAR is launched to find the root cause. And in our story, it was a faulty seal. And finally, the solution is verified. The seal gets replaced, and new logs confirm the temperature is back to being stable. The loop is officially closed. So, we've just followed one small error in one single fridge. Now, let's zoom out and take a look at how this incredibly meticulous process fits into the massive, global system of food safety. Because every single report, every temperature log, every NCR, every CARE, is like a single thread in this vast, sprawling web of data. And this web connects every single step of the food supply chain, creating a safety net that's strong, transparent, and incredibly resilient.
And this isn't just some internal company process. This level of documentation is the exact evidence required to meet major international standards like ISO 22000 and HACCP. It's how a company proves to auditors and, frankly, to the entire world that they are serious about food safety.
So in the end, all this documentation serves two absolutely critical purposes. On one hand, it's the legal proof of due diligence. It shows you did everything right. But just as importantly, it's the engine for continuous improvement. By tracking and analyzing even the smallest failures, the entire system learns, adapts, and just keeps getting better. So the next time you sit down for a meal, just take a second. Think about that golden rule. If it isn't written down, it didn't happen. And maybe, just maybe, you'll have a new appreciation for the invisible ink, the countless logs, reports, and signatures that all work together to make sure your food was safe.